That's the way.
We wanted men.
I have spoken.
Welcome to episode 193 of the Smugglers Galaxy podcast, your favorite Star Wars podcast for smugglers in the galaxy. I'm Glenn. Jason's with us, and then we got a very special guest, Mr. Jerry Hancock, who's going to help us recap some of Rogue Fun. He actually did one of the panels for us. Jerry's been a good listener to the show. He's a good friend, a listener to the show, helps out with the Star Wars Club. And Jerry, how you doing, buddy?
Good. Good to be here watching the magic happen.
This is magic. We're all screwed.
Well, you guys are my drive time company, man. I mean, seriously, Tuesdays, I can't wait. That week after Rogue Fun, I was lost because you guys didn't do an episode, and I'm like, am I supposed to be somewhere?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
It was
no
weird
worries,
for me
dude.
too, because I kept like going to because I'll watch the numbers, and I kept going to the app, and I'm like, oh no, I don't have an episode to watch this week.
How'd the last episode do? Is it?
It did
It's
pretty
average.
good. We're averaging about 200. So I mean, we're it takes about a week to get there. So I mean, the numbers are good. I can't complain about them.
Yeah. Thank you for listening.
Yes. Thank you
And
for being
thank
one of
you.
our 200.
And thank you, listener, for listening to the Smugglers Galaxy podcast. If you could, please leave it now.
So we were talking just before we came on air. We were talking about how you guys Jason's still recovering. Are you still recovering, Jerry, from Rogue Fun?
I'll be honest. The way Rogue Fun sort of landed, it was right in the middle of the teacher's busiest part of the entire academic year. So it was, if nothing else, it gave me, 3 days to step away from that madness. But and that's why I left on Sunday. I didn't even get to bowling. I was going to try and go to bowling. I was like, I have to go home. I have to get some sleep because if I roll in on Monday morning, and I knew it was going to hit the fan as soon as I walked in the door. And of course it did. But yeah, all that's winding down. We had graduation this morning and we graduated 560 kids. And that was why I was, couldn't sync up with you guys as far as getting together to record because we didn't really know when graduation was going to happen because we've had a lot of storms and stuff down here and tornadoes and all this stuff. So they were sort of trying to dodge all that to handle it. So I had to keep today open the whole day, but we ended up doing it at like 8 this morning. We were done by like 11. So I've just been hanging out today, decompressing. I've got some post-planning crap I have to do on Monday through Wednesday, but other than that, I'm solid now.
Awesome.
Good to hear.
Did y'all pick anything up this week? Jason, did you get another Sabine TIE fighter?
No, not yet. I only have the one. Sorry. Wah, wah. And
Glenn, I'll
it's in
be
pristine
honest.
condition.
I don't even collect Micro Galaxy Squadron, but I look every time I'm in a store. I went to Target today and I looked. I know Walmarts are where they're showing up if they show up, but I always look just to see if there's anything new and on the chance that there might be a Sabine TIE fighter that somehow.
They're showing up in Mexico right now, so
Yeah. Well, I know Daniel Bouchard was at the Kennesaw run, and Glenn was trying to persuade him to possibly
I was like, hey,
chip
you're in
one
Canada,
down.
right?
and he said, I don't collect modern.
Right. Well, I noticed because I had picked up a couple, and I had them on the still. I hadn't unboxed them yet, and people were like, "Okay, I listened to your podcast, and this line pisses you off, but you're still collecting it." I'm like, "Yeah, what can I say?"
Well, for punishment.
Right,
Such is the
exactly.
life of a collector. Never happy, never satisfied, but you still do it because you love it.
Yeah.
The only thing I got was that Micro Galaxy Squadron Return of the Jedi pack with the ATST with the special deco, the Ewok with the glider, and then Luke and Leia on the speeder bike with the speeder biker scout with the blast effect in the back. I picked that up. That's the only thing I picked up this week.
Jerry, you get anything?
Been pretty slow, honestly. I got I've been buying 2 to 3 of everything the Retro Collection puts out. So I got a second uh, Phantom Menace set from Target. I already had one that I'd opened, so I'll keep this one sealed. And then I got a couple more. I told myself I wasn't going to get the Book of Boba Fett Retro Luke Jedi or Grogu. I have them sealed, but I told myself I wasn't going to get the loose ones, but I can't resist. So I got a couple of those. I think I picked up the Luke Jedi at Road Fun, but then I got the Grogu this week. So yeah,
But
that's about all.
you have to get those on Hasbro Pulse or Shop Disney, right?
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes I'll go through Hasbro's eBay page as well because it's like they have it on their price with free shipping. So I'll go through there sometimes as well. But yeah, I hadn't really been buying a whole lot of stuff lately. I just I don't know, I'm sort of like the soul collector. You heard of soul servers. I'm the soul collector.
Yeah.
It's not always about the chase for me. I've found some degree of
Balance,
yeah, exactly.
sanity.
Yeah, exactly. I've got what I love, and I guess the other thing is that now since we moved a couple of years ago, it's like I have a proper room to have everything out in, and being an introvert, I have to have my recharge time. So I
Mhm.
do a lot of recharging in my office. So when I get home, I come in here, I flip all the lights on, and get into my space, and it helps me sort of recharge.
I zoom, I pew pew,
Exactly.
and I feel better.
Yeah, exactly. It is. And it's interesting, from a psychological standpoint, because I was an only child, and being a product of Gen X, part of the divorce generation. My parents split up. My dad moved out the summer between first and second grade, but in that time before, my Star Wars toys were always my escapism. So it makes sense that it still works that way as an adult because,
Yeah.
yeah, when I was a kid and they were having their problems, I'd grab my case of toys and take off outside, and that was how I found my closure, I guess. But yeah, so I guess it makes sense that I still do this as an adult. It's I keep my batteries charged.
Arrested Development.
Yeah.
How about you, Glenn? Did you pick anything up?
Uh, I'm trying to think. I don't think I picked anything up Star Wise wise. I was at the liquor store today, and I went to buy
This
one
doesn't
thing.
count. This doesn't count, but go ahead.
It does because it's beer. But as I'm rounding a corner,
Just
I
go
see
through your
it.
grocery list.
Yeah, I know.
I got a stick of butter.
Yeah, I bought some apples and bananas. But no, as I'm rounding the corner, there's this beer that I like it by Abita. It's Mardi Gras Bock, and it only comes out at Mardi Gras. And
Here.
yeah, they had 3 cases of it sitting there. So I'm
Volunteer.
like,
That's
I'm gonna buy these cases, and then they ring them up, and they're like $7 a case. I went, wait, those are $7 like a 6-pack. They're like, yeah. I said, how much more do you have? So I bought them out of Mardi Gras Bock, and then as I'm stacking it up at the house because I got to move stuff around to make room for 4 cases of beer, I drop a case.
Oh,
I only lost 2 beers, but my basement's probably going to smell like beer for like weeks.
And what's the difference?
Right, exactly.
I'm still trying to finish up the beer from Road Fun.
I have
You had
brought
like
a
all
lot
the beer,
home.
man.
I mean, I was impressed how much actually got drank, but at the same time, there was still a lot of stuff left because, I mean, I brought 2 cases, and I think Ryan Shaw brought a case, and we were trying to help Narayan sort of offset the expenses, because the guy just, God, he spares no expense when he does anything at his place. And so he had posted, well, what should I do about beer? And Ryan and I were like, okay, well, we'll take care of the beer. You don't worry about the beer. So I go out and get all this beer. Ryan gets all this beer, and then we show up, and Ryan has like 4 cases of beer. So yeah, there was beer out the wazoo, and
There
I
was
bought a lot
there
of
was
that.
2 ice chests or coolers of beer that he was over at my place. He's like, I'm not gonna drink it. I'm like, I'm not gonna drink it. But I had a refrigerator. So I have like 2 cases or 2 coolers full of beer in my refrigerator that I'm not going to drink. So come on over. Let's get this done.
Well, next time you
Party.
do a movie night, then just
Yeah,
make sure you get the audio fixed.
Right.
it's a sore subject.
I hated that happen, man.
You
Damn.
know. And then I'm in the middle of like running from person to person and trying to talk to people and show things off, and I'm like getting reports that the audio stopped. I'm like, what?
This is
What?
not how this weekend's going to go.
No, I refuse. But then screen stopped working in the middle of someone's panel.
Right. What was that?
What was that? But so what were we going to talk about? We're going to talk about the last panel, the Kenner panel.
Well, we finished. I thought we had finished up the panels, but we could talk about the Kenner panel
No,
because
we don't
Jerry.
have
I
to.
mean, huh?
So we're going into room sales.
We were going into room sales, but yeah, yeah, that because we had left off at the last panel of the night, and then we were going into room sales.
Which I didn't really pay much attention because I was busy shutting things down.
You didn't get to walk around room sales?
No, not really, unfortunately.
Yeah, that room sales because it was overwhelming. Room sales are always overwhelming sometime at some point, but this one was worse because I'm trying to set out my stuff and then I'm getting, there again, I'm getting pulled in a couple of different directions because my wife was wanting me to she was trying to figure out where they were going to move their table to. And I'm trying to get in there and set my stuff up. And then the room's filling up. So you want to try to walk around. So there's like 5 things you want to do at once. So yeah, I was sort of in the same boat you're in to where it was just a blur. Room
It was
sales
a
were.
very unique room sales for me. I don't think I'll ever experience this again because people were bringing me things.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like the Leia thing. It's like I was just walking by the table and they're like, "Oh, here, Paul's got this for you."
Yeah.
And then Ryan from Canada, Ryan Dukes, he pulled out the Sabine. He's like, "Here, do you want this?" I'm like, "Yes." So it was a very unique experience. I don't think I'll ever have that again.
It comes with being, podcast celebrity, right? Everybody knows
Right.
your wants and needs.
Yeah, it's becoming the point where I have to hit people with a bat when I'm in the grocery store because I'm such a podcast celebrity. Get away, get away. I
I'm
just
still
I just want to get my beer.
right.
On Mardi Gras beer. That's on
I'm still
clearance
waiting for
from
that to happen.
March.
I've only say that again, Jason.
I just wanted my Mardi Gras beer that's on clearance from March.
You're right, exactly. I've only had one person ever look at me and go, Glenn? And that was at a convention. And I think he was kind of looking for me anyway.
Yeah.
'Cause he-
Although it's gotten a little different now because you don't yell like you used to now that you've got your thing in. So
yeah.
you have to be like right next to you to hear your voice. You can't. It used to be when we'd go to those every Saturday the Powder Springs Toy Show, you could hear you from across the parking lot, but that's not the case. Now it's like, is Glenn even here?
Right. Well, I'm also trying to make a conscious effort to lower my voice.
Oh,
So,
okay. So
yeah, it's twofold.
we'll bring it down.
Maybe I need to get a hearing aid. I know I have hearing loss from, too many years of loud music and such, but yeah, I think part of it is genetic. I'm just loud naturally, and then part of it's hearing loss, and then part of it's being a teacher because
Exactly. I was going to say
I'm
that.
going to speak over people.
How was room sales for you?
It was cool. There was, oh my God, it was such an overload to see all that stuff. I mean, the variety was just incredible. The piece that caught well, there were a couple pieces that really caught my attention, but all of them were beyond my means at the time. I saw the Butch and Sundance Cantina that Narayan got, which, holy crap, you don't see those every day.
Right.
So that was pretty big highlight. And then the sealed Mailer 3-pack that with the Vader Emperor, it's the Sears pack with the Vader Emperor and Royal Guard. I was really hoping that I might be able to afford that, but I think the seller got it back when the market was peaked out, and he was trying to get his money back, and I just was like, wow, yeah, I can't go that high. But Daniel Bouchard actually did get it. He bought the thing.
Wow.
So I know it went to a good home, but that was really cool. The swag, and that was the other thing. It was like it was almost like a swag convention sort of tied in with the room sales, because the swag game, and I'm sure, part of it's Narayan, when the swag king is, you're coming to his turf, everybody brings their A game. And so, yeah, the swag was just, wow. But yeah, I mean, getting to see everybody and looking up and seeing, Steve Sansweet walking around, and yeah, just the whole evening, the whole day was just such an overload, and it went so fast. That's the thing, it's like one of those things where, I don't know that it went so fast for you guys.
Oh, it did.
It flew. It flew.
It flew by. But I mean, part of it is probably you guys are so busy. I mean, Jason was, sort of like hanging out with Oz behind the curtain. Him and Mark were doing, handling all that stuff. So, but yeah, just the whole day was, wow, what an event.
Since you're like, what were your thoughts on the whole thing? Or did you want to wait till the end of the thing, Jason? Or do you want
No,
to
that's fine. We can get his whole thoughts, and then we'll go into the rest of the
Yeah,
weekend,
what were
I
your
guess.
thoughts on the day?
Oh, wow. I mean, as far as being a collector, definitely, I wouldn't be afraid to say the pinnacle of my collecting in the years that I've been collecting. I've been collecting a long time. Um, but I do feel now like I know the community on a little bit deeper level. I've seen these names around. A lot of them were, like old Rebel Scum handles, which I still go by mine on Facebook. But to be able to put names with faces, and um, like Don Henderson. Don was there, and
Yep.
I knew he was coming, but I didn't know what he looked like. I bought stuff from Don 20 years ago, and he walked in, and he and I both afterwards were like, "Oh my God, that was you." Um, so yeah, it was just such an overload to see all of these people. I mean, obviously you had the guys from Star Wars Collector Archive. Chris G was there, and Ron and Gus and Steve, but then all of these other folks who are almost celebrity status in the
Yep.
collecting community, to see all of those people in one room and everybody hanging out. Matt Erickson pushing whiskey on people. I mean, it was wow, just what an event. I unfortunately didn't get to come up on Thursday for the movie, but I drove up on Friday and went to Narayan's house to sort of help him get set up. I met Ryan and Gary Ray Weaver there, which first time I ever met Gary. And yeah, Gary's been around for years as well. And we hung out at Narayan's house on Friday, and had that event on Friday night, and just seeing all these people. And yeah, it was almost too much to take in, because after it was all over, it was like, wow, I didn't get to talk to this person, or I didn't get to talk to that person. David Quinn was there, and we spoke a couple of times, but we didn't get to have any sort of in-depth conversation. So if this ever happens again, we got to do it, 4 days or so.
No,
Jason,
no.
I see Jason's eyes get big.
No. Shh, go back to your hole. And this episode is concluding. Thank you for listening to Smuggler's Galaxy Podcast.
Yeah.
Well, no, it is when you said if it happens again, I keep like, because there's just a running total in your head of what you're going to do better next time or things you learn. And then I talked to my wife and she's like, her and Shannon's got a list. And, it's like, there's a lot. I mean, yeah, and I say all this because I keep bugging Jason. I keep poking the bear. I'm like, let's start talking, man. Let's talk. And he's like, no, dude, no.
Too soon.
I need my rest.
It's the same energy, I think, that caused you and Justin to create the club.
Yeah.
It's that rush, that high after, it was after Celebration Orlando for you guys, and you didn't want it to end,
Right.
I think it's the same thing with this, is why not just myself, but a lot of folks who were there, or they don't want it to end. They are like, we got to do this again, because the spontaneity was great. I loved that part of it. Everything was just so spontaneous. So you had all of these parts assembled, and this sort of magic happened. That was the word, I guess, that I used the most to describe it. As it was going on, it was just this magical moment for the collective community. And I just, if anything, thank you guys for making it happen, because I know there was just a lot of work that went into this, but when you bring people who are passionate together that way, and sort of delegate to folks who pour their heart into this hobby, there's no other way to explain it. It was a magical event, and Saturday, wow. You walk in and you see the guy who literally created Boba Fett out of thin air. I mean, we didn't even know what he looked like. This is the guy who told us sort of what he looked like. To have John there, and all the other folks that just wow. Meeting Paul Harrison. I met Paul on Friday night at Narayan's house, and we just gelled. I don't know what it was. We just clicked like kindred spirits or something. It was so crazy. And, ended up Saturday sort of hanging out, all the panelists, you guys brought us into the room before everything got started, and just sitting there at that table with all of these folks from the hobby. It was really special. So
Good.
Yeah, kudos to you guys.
Was that sort of a surreal moment because you're in that room with all those people, with those panelists? Because it was like, there's Steve Sansweet, there's Tim Effler,
It was, but it was such an ease, I do wish that Tim and Howard could have gotten there a little bit earlier, because they came in just as I was starting my panel. But somebody had posted a picture on the Facebook page, and it's me presenting, and Tim Effler's front and center, and you see Tim sitting there watching me present.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, that was it. That was the pinnacle of everything I've done in the Star Wars collecting realm, to be sitting there presenting a panel talking about Bernie Loomis and Sears to the guy who designed and created this stuff. I mean, I was a Kenner kid, let me tell you. I mean, I had Tree Tots, I had $6 Million Man, I had the Stretch Monster, I had Star Wars, all of those things. And so to me, guys, like Tim, who, we've hung out with Tim on numerous occasions, and wow, the guy's just amazing. The stories that he has to share, and he's so eager to share them. I think he's so happy to find people who want to know about this stuff. I think he really feels appreciated. I think that's really the cool thing with Howard as well. This is the first time he'd ever done an event like this. Howard had posted a few times over the years on the Kenner Collector site, and was on their forums and just posting responses to people, because I think he was so excited to see that people were eager to learn about how Kenner worked, the inner workings of that company, and the people who designed and created these toys. I think Howard was just blown away. And from what you guys were saying in the first episode, I think we could have literally done a 2 to 3 hour panel and just turned those two guys on and let them go. They had the room in the palm of their hand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was really, to be hanging out with those guys and to have Steve Sansweet come up and shake your hand and go, that was a really good panel. I mean, wow. As a collector, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. So yeah, we had some great panels, and I do think that was the real magic of it, was the fact there was nobody leaving that room. Right. I think people were like, I'm not going to the bathroom until this is done. I don't want to miss a moment of this, because it was just so special.
It was.
So kudos, guys. Wow.
Thank you.
And then how late did you stay up on Saturday night?
Well, I guess I was up until Glenn came to my room to get beer.
What time was that?
Wasn't that late.
I got
like midnight.
Yeah, I guess about midnight. I don't burn the midnight oil, not like I used to anyway. I'm getting too old for that stuff. And we were talking about that earlier. I have a pretty rigid sleep schedule. I've gotten up at 5 a.m. for almost 20 years now. So yeah, I have to get my circadian rhythm is strong. Yeah. And so I went upstairs. As much as I hated to leave the action, I was also just very drained. And that's why, I'm not surprised, Jason, that you were as exhausted as you were, because, Glenn was talking about how you had, when you got that mic in your hand, it was like you turned into like a game show.
Welcome everyone to Wrong Fun.
You gotta, that's what I do every day as far as, being a history teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're on like that, it really does, especially if you're introverted.
Yeah.
It just wrings the energy out of you to be on like that. So yeah, I was pretty tired, but yeah, I didn't want it to end. It was just such an incredible day, and obviously was excited to go do the Kennesaw run the next morning. I mean, I've seen everybody's collection. I think the thing that was probably the highlight of the Kennesaw run was watching Steve Sansweet walk in Tim Connor's front door.
So tell us. I mean, we weren't there, so please, you're filling in a void that we don't have. So
wow.
Tim is a major collector. He's an incredibly friendly guy.
That's an understatement. That's an understatement.
He's open. And so tell us what happened when Steve Sansweet went into the Rancho Obi-Wan of Georgia.
Yeah, he literally walked in and was speechless. He was slack-jawed. He walked in the living room. And the interesting thing of watching him go through, I don't think anybody sort of mentally cataloged everything that Tim had the way that Steve did. Like, Steve was like, where did you get this? I mean, this is the guy in the Guinness Book of World Records for the largest Star Wars collection, and he's asking Tim, where did you get this? It's yeah, and he just meticulously went room by room and just took it all in. It was, that was pretty powerful to see someone like that walk into Tim's house, because I'd seen Tim's house. It's exhausting. When you leave Tim's house, you're like mentally exhausted from trying to take it all in, because it is literally wall to wall in the cupboards in the kitchen. I did find out that Tim ended up moving his refrigerator into the garage so he could have more space in the kitchen.
Yeah, he's trying to expand to give himself more space.
Yeah. He it's what he said. I'm going to build a house behind my house to live in.
Yeah.
But
it was my understanding that Tim was pretty extrovert, talking about introvert. He's like us. He's quiet and introvert and shy, but when Steve was over, he was talkative and you couldn't stop him from talking, shut him
Yeah,
up.
yeah. I definitely think that was maybe, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think was probably Tim's pinnacle for the weekend was to have Steve Sansweet, the guy who's in the Guinness Book of World Records, and we all know Steve. Everybody's seen Steve on all of the documentaries, the toy documentaries, the Star Wars documentaries. I mean, the guy's a legend. And for Tim
Author.
to have Steve in his house admiring his collection, I do feel like, Tim was just on cloud nine. It was amazing to see. I didn't realize until Steve walked in that I would be privy to that, and yeah, I think a lot of folks just sort of stood back and watched.
Nice.
So it
Nice.
was pretty incredible. Yeah, I
I'm
didn't
happy for
time it
Tim.
so good for you guys when I came to y'all's place, because Jason, I came to your place first, which is actually in between. So
Yeah.
obviously, I did not plan this out properly. Quite a few folks had sort of showed up to your place, and like Stu and some of those guys.
Bruce. Yeah.
Bruce, yeah, George Roy was there
Yep.
at your place. We all sort of started there, and obviously crossed paths as we were going through the whole thing. But I got to Glenn's house, and Steve and those folks, everybody was sort of leaving as I got to Glenn's house, and so I just went on downstairs and sort of invited myself in. Sorry, Glenn, you're that kind of friend.
Right.
Just started taking some Bill and Ted stuff. Glenn, you're that
I'm
kind of
just gonna go
friend.
down. I
Well,
haven't been there
So
in a
kind of you
while.
to share.
right. Well, it was funny when you say that because like Britton was here and we had a lot of people upstairs and he just walks downstairs. I forgot he was here and he walks back up and I'm like, oh crap, you're here. You're still here.
Well, I mean, I will say that everybody sort of treats us. It's mutual respect. You're talking about collectors visiting other collectors' collections.
Right.
That was another interesting thing of watching people. I do think, Glenn, that your place, folks tended to interact a little more because you have that centerpiece with a lot of loose items on it. And I did see a couple of people interacting with those things, but for the most part, at every stop, it was like watching people in a museum. Everybody with their hands, sort of clasped or behind their back, and just admiring and sort of taking it in because as collectors, we're a little quirky about this stuff. Don't touch my stuff.
Right. I
So,
want to know
That
who was
quirky.
touching my stuff. It's like, wait a minute. But I know what you're talking about. I had seen pictures where people are like hands on Legos or like really close to my Lego set. Like that's what I have in the center. And I was like, oh man, I hope you didn't break anything.
don't touch my
Well,
stuff.
I've only got like one piece of really expensive Lego, which is like the original Ghost, but the rest of it, I don't, not that I don't care about it, but you know where to put stuff where, people, the expensive stuff's behind glass,
Yeah.
so
Well, that was the other thing. I hadn't been to your collection since you added the labels to the Bill and Ted case, and that it seriously, dude, that case feels like it should be in a museum.
thank you.
Yeah, it does.
It
Who did
has
that?
that feel.
Yeah, who
Who did that?
who did the labels?
Who did that?
The
My
Star
buddy
Wars
Jason.
Renaissance man himself.
Right. My buddy Jason did the labels. But yeah, I did. You don't realize how much it takes just doing something simple like a label takes your collection like two steps
Yeah, yeah.
in the good direction. But yeah, I don't know how that to me was the most I mean, yes, Saturday was exhausting, but you don't realize how showing your collection off for 2 hours exhausts you because
Yeah.
you're on your feet, you're all over your house. I think at like 12:30, I'm like, I need to get something to eat because I didn't, you wake up and you're on all day, and I had like a half a bagel at like noon, and I was like, that's the only thing I had till we got to bowling.
Yep.
So it
I
was
got up at
huh?
I went to bed at 1. I got up like around 6 or 7, went to Krispy Kreme, started vacuuming because I didn't have time. People were coming in and out Thursday night.
Mhm.
And obviously they're bringing like dust and dirt and leaves and stuff, which is fine. But I just didn't have time from Thursday to Sunday to vacuum and clean and tidy up. And we still had like stuff out from not. We had some pa plates and stuff out and from Thursday night. So I quickly got up and had to clean everything and vacuum and like really hit the road, get up and hit the road and get things done by 9 o'clock because people were coming over.
Yeah, and it legitimately it started at 9 o'clock and didn't end until like 1 when I told people, we're gotta go bowling. And then
Yeah,
people were like, okay, fine. Because I looked at Narayan and I was like, dude, I would you mind just dropping what you're doing and getting to the bowling alley because we need a representative there.
Yeah.
And thankfully, he was able to do that. Because I
I got
still
there
had like
first.
10 or 50, probably like 5 or 10 people still in my house at 12:30.
Yeah, I had people there at 12:45, but I was like, I got to go to bowling, and I got there like at 12:59 and got the instructions, and the first person showed up at 1 o'clock, and I was able to be like, hey, go get your shoes there, and but I was just like tired and dizzy and just I was just like I had enough.
There was a
I
lot
feel
going on
overwhelmed
out
just
there.
thinking about being overwhelmed at bowling.
But you
But I
think
did
about
go
it. Go ahead.
what?
No. Go ahead.
But I did like we checked in, people were coming up. I was like, "Welcome to Walmart," because I was standing up front for bowling, and they were coming in. I was pointing them which way to go, and it was about 1:30 that I felt good that everybody was there, or at least most everybody was there, and went to the front desk because I knew they were playing stuff from cable because they had like TNT on for basketball and different sports, and I was like, "I know you guys play cable. Can you turn on Star Wars?" And they're like, "No, we can't do that, man." I was like, that stinks because I know it's May 4th weekend. It was maybe it's TNT that had basketball. Anyways, one of them was playing a marathon because
Ah,
it was on in the lobby of the hotel during the modern prototype room sales.
okay.
And it was about an hour in that they turned Revenge of the Sith on the big TVs. So we were playing bowling and with the backdrop of Revenge of the Sith. Of course, at 3 o'clock when everything was over, Empire Strikes Back came on.
Ah.
Right. I could just imagine you at the front desk going, it's a shame you can't play Star Wars because we're here with a Star Wars club bowling
Yeah.
from a Star Wars weekend on May the 4th, which is Star Wars Day.
And we did give you all that money.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. We paid a lot of money to be here.
Right. It was a good time. Everyone had fun. The food was, I mean, it was bowling food, but I didn't think it was that bad.
No, it
Dave
wasn't
brought,
bad.
Dave brought me a, that was a weird. Dave brought me a whiskey on the rocks. So I just sat in the back, like Glenn was saying, holding court last week. He called it that, but I was like right in the middle. So people were coming back and forth to get their food, and I was just hanging out because I knew if I was bowling, first of all, I was exhausted, so there was no way that I had the energy in me to bowl. But I knew that if I did bowl, I would only be able to hang out with the 5, 6 people sitting in that lane. Whereas if I was sitting in the back, just hanging out, talking to people, I mean, I think I had a much richer experience doing that than bowling itself. I was able to talk and connect, which was something that was missing for me the whole weekend because I was busy executing.
That was
So
your
for
grand finale. That was your grand
exactly. So for an hour and a half, I was able to sit back, relax, talk to people, say goodbye. Hi, bye. Sorry, I've
Thanks
been
for
busy
coming.
all
Sorry to get to
weekend.
talk to you very much.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of wish I'd have done that, but I had been like building myself up for the bowling, and then half the people I want, like because Mark was going to be there, and then his plans changed, and he was like, "I'm going to show you how to bowl," and I'm like, "All right, let's go," and then his plans changed, and he couldn't make it. And I
Oh,
think looking back on the weekend, I wish I would have done just pulled a stool right up next to you and chilled out. And even though I enjoyed, I still enjoyed it because I was bouncing back and forth from bowling to where you guys were. Um, but no, yeah, I think you had the right idea because you were right next to the food, right next to the drinks. And, you and Rich were talking, and then Steve Sansweet's right next to you. So he's talking, and, it was just, bowling was fun. But yeah, it was, when it was over, it was sad for
it's like the
me.
last day of camp.
Right. It was like, I don't want it to end.
Yeah,
We
I
have to
didn't
go
feel
back
that
to
way,
Saturday
though.
night here in a minute too, because there's stuff we need to finish talking about that we skipped over. But yeah, no, when 3 o'clock rolled around and they shut the lanes down, I was like, I don't want it to end, Jason. And he's like, nope, it's over. We're done. I'm going home. I'm going to bed. I am done with this weekend.
Yeah, I guess maybe I don't have regrets, or I mean, I wish I had more time to hang with people, but at the end of the thing, and even today, I'm just like, I did what I set out to do. We,
Right.
we executed our vision. I didn't change things up because I was freaking out that people from, Australia and Sweden were showing up. Like, I stuck to the course. I did what we had to do, and it was a success. So there's no reason to feel regretful or that I've left something on the table. Like, I try to be
Why
humble,
not?
but we knocked it out of the park.
We did.
Yeah,
And I think,
absolutely.
but before you go into your thing, I think there are always not regrets, but you're always going to be like, I wish I would have spent more time with this person. No matter how much time you spend with
Yeah.
people, there's always going to be somebody you miss.
But there was a part of me that, yes, I do miss that, but excuse me, I do feel like I provided an environment where people can hang out and connect in ways that they couldn't. Um, and so that was rewarding in itself. Sure, I'll make myself busy and do what I have to do to give these people a great time.
Right.
That's the cost, and it's the cost.
What were you going to say, Jerry?
Well, you were talking about Saturday night. That's one of the things I never had a chance to thank you guys, because when we had the audio issue, or I guess it was the video when the
Video issue.
televisions went out, that was so smooth. Like, I never once felt awkward. That television went out, and I made a joke to Mark about kicking the thing, and you guys just swooped in almost like it was planned. I don't know if you guys were just, okay, if anything happens, this is what we're going to do. But that's what it seemed like, because you guys came in and it was almost like the perfect intermission. I had gone through the first part of my panel, which was, and I was trying not to get too bogged down in Sears history, because I can really dork out about that stuff. I talked about Richard. Really, that was sort of how I set the whole thing up. I was doing this sort of comparison of Richard Sears as this marketing genius that built this huge enterprise, retail, empire, to Bernie Loomis, who was also a marketing genius, as far as in the toy industry. And so I felt like they were almost kindred spirits and sort of cut from the same cloth. So I spent the first part setting up everything of, okay, well, here's Richard Sears and here's Bernie Loomis, and then we talked about the holiday special a little bit, and that's where everything fizzled and fried, or whatever that was with the video card thing. You guys swooped in, and I remember Jason at one point, he's like, just keep going. And I'm like, well, I can't keep going, because at this part in the presentation is where I'm turning to the catalog, and it's all about looking at the pages of the wish book.
That's when we had to
So,
make a decision, and we were
Right,
like, "Oh,
yeah, 'cause
auction,
you-
forget it."
You're right, because
you guys-
you had said, I was going to mention that because you were like, guys, I really I know you didn't curse, but it felt like, I think if it would have been just us, you'd have been like, I really effing need these monitors, because it's very
Imperative.
visual, or what were you going to say? What did you say, Jason?
Imperative. It's imperative that we had monitors because people needed to see what he was talking about.
Right. And you were just like, I can't do it, guys. And then that's the time that Jason just hands me the microphone and goes, auction. And I've done so many of these auctions through the years that it's just like, hand me an item, let's go.
Yeah.
And
if that had happened in the first 5 minutes of that presentation, I would have probably freaked out, because I was pretty intimidated going into that whole thing. But by the time that it happened, I'd made a couple of jokes, and I felt like the room was really dialed in.
Mhm.
I didn't know how dialed in until afterwards, or, I had Toby Black from the Canadian posse come up. I mean, I barely got finished, and he was up there, dude, we're doing an event in August. We really love for you to be there. And I was like, wow, I guess they liked it. But at the moment that whole video issue happened, the room was sort of warmed up, and I felt I had already sort of established a rapport with them. And I guess that's why I made the joke. I can't remember who it was. Somebody was like, I didn't realize you had an accent until you were doing the presentation. Because, I'm born and raised in South Georgia. You can't not have an accent. I can turn it on, turn it off without much trouble. But when I get comfortable around folks is where it sort of sneaks out occasionally. And apparently I'd said when the video monitors went out, I said something to the degree of, Mark, kick that thing. And I guess that's what they were referring to. But yeah, I'd warmed up to the room. I felt like the folks who were there warmed up to me. I saw that people were engaged. That's what they always teach you with like public speaking. You always identify your active listeners. Well,
Yeah.
From what I saw, most everybody in that room was active listeners by that point. So I wasn't really worried from that point on. So I was making jokes, and you guys it was just so well timed and went so smoothly. And then he got the videos back up, and like we didn't miss a beat, went right back into it. So here's the star of the show, the Sears Wish Book. And we started sort of going through that, and it was just, wow. I felt like I heard you guys in the last episode were talking about, the snafu or whatever, but I don't think that a major malfunction of that caliber could have gone more smoothly than it did. So yeah, kudos to you guys again. So
and
I'll save my ass, man.
We'll talk more about this on the next episode.
Okay.
All right. Well, so going back into like Saturday night after room sales, because did you pick anything up at room sales, Jerry?
The only big purchase I made, and it was bigger than I really cared to pay, but it was well worth it. I bought one of Howard Bollinger's Kenner business cards.
Yes.
He was selling them, and I was hoping that he was not going to price it quite as high as he did, because he had a lot of business cards from his. I don't know if you guys saw his little business card timeline that he brought, but wow, he's got a business card from practically every period of his career, all the way up, through Hasbro. And I got one of his early Kenner business cards. Of all the things I got, I think, this is it. It's right there, man. And I think the other thing, it was not so much about what I was purchasing as much as it was those moments. Because you guys saw I had the Toy Ventures magazine that Brian Heiler had sent me. And that was sort of a crazy thing that sort of all happened, to be able to give that to Tim at the event. And we got some pictures. That was really what Brian was trying to do, because I had reached out to Brian prior to the event. I had ordered the new issue number 12 Toy Ventures magazine, which is a cover story on Stretch Monster. And I had ordered it back in March in hopes that I would have it to bring to the event, because I wanted to get Tim to sign it.
And real quick, Tim, just so people who don't know, Tim's the one that made the Stretch Monster, who designed it.
Tim Effler, the designer of the Stretch Monster. And we talked before. I mean, we had the Winter Social at Justin Haney's house, and Tim was there, and he held court and told all the stories. I mean, it was amazing. So I knew that it was going to be a great issue of Toy Ventures magazine, because he was sort of the center of the whole thing, is this big interview that Brian had conducted with him for the cover story. And so I contacted Brian the weekend before Rogue Fun, and I'm like, hey, I ordered this. I was really hoping I could get it. Is there any way you're going to be able to ship these out this week? Because I'm going to see Tim this weekend. I want to get him to sign it. And he's like, yeah, I'm working as fast as I can. At that point, he was really under the gun to try and get the magazines out. He was doing he did an inflatable Stretch Monster as well, since the real ones are almost impossible to find, and if you can't find them, you don't want to touch them. But he reached out to me like literally Wednesday. The event starts Thursday. And he goes, he just out of nowhere, I get this message on my phone, and it's Brian, and he goes, "Are you still going to see Tim this weekend?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "If I overnight you some magazines, can you give him the magazine and get me some pictures this weekend?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'd be honored to be a part of that, because yeah, I do. I have so much respect for those guys." And so to be able, and he did, he literally overnighted it directly from the printer. I think he said I got my copies before he got his copy.
Wow.
And he overnighted it. It was on my front door on Thursday when I got home, which is another reason I'm glad. Unfortunately, I didn't get to come to the movie, Jason, but I'm glad that I waited till Friday, because I wouldn't have been able to pull that off.
Right.
And it was on the doorstep when I got home Thursday afternoon, and I was just like, "Oh my God, this is the coolest thing." And then to be able to give that to Tim and see his face, that was another big highlight for me for the weekend. So to meet Howard, to get him to sign my early bird envelope. You guys know I collect all the Kenner guys.
Yep.
My early bird. To get a business card from Howard. I mean, that was it for me. I mean, I brought money and bought a couple of odds and ends, little things, and a couple retro figures, and things like a couple books. But that, yeah, I didn't buy a whole lot of stuff. But it really, this weekend wasn't about that.
No.
Honestly, for me, I felt like the swag thing, that was incredible, and I just could not believe the caliber of swag that was there. People really brought their A game with this. And, I'd never done any swag before. And so I will go ahead and give Jason kudos for helping me design that, back in January, I think it was.
Yep.
Jason was Swag King Jr. for this event, because he was designing everybody's swag.
I helped you. I helped Tony. I helped Susan. I helped whoever needed it.
Well, it was much.
I helped Glenn.
Yeah,
so,
you helped us design it.
But it was, and you did all those great designs, and I could not use them. So I found I sort of got the bug from Narayan, and as the weeks were going on leading up, I was getting, I can do this, and I can do that, and I just kept getting more and more stuff, and it ended up being a whole packet of stuff for two different events. I did a packet for Narayan's place for his event at the Most Atlanta Cantina, and then I did another packet for the panel gift. So yeah, definitely caught the swag bug for this one, and I'm pretty sure it won't be the last time. So,
but just today, my wife was like, "I just found a new bag of swag upstairs." And no clue what's in it or where it came from, but there's a bag of swag up here, so I got to go through that. But Glenn, what were you going to say?
Did you get the Friday night thing? The little pack with the 3 pins and the coaster?
Yeah.
Okay, as long as you got those, because I couldn't remember, because you got there late, and
you gave it to me Saturday night.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you had given me a few things, so there was a lot of people coming up to me and just going, "Here." So, yeah.
What were you going to say, Glenn, about midnight?
Say that again?
Were you going to go? Did you have a topic about midnight?
No, I just wanted to, when we had broken down, it was another, because we had basically had said, put out a call for everybody to help break down. And number one, well, first of all, the karaoke didn't go as planned, which was a little bit of a bummer, but I think everybody.
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot. I was
ready to.
It was the right call.
Well,
yeah,
I think
it was.
Jason, you said you had a lot of people that were kind of poo-pooing on it, right?
Yeah, it was the right call. We lost control of the room. The plan was half of the room would be room sales, the other half would be karaoke, but it was the whole room was room sales, and it was just, it got out of hand, and
then some. It was out in the hall.
Dude, it was everywhere. I had to put my stuff because I had it kind of set up, because I had ceramics and I had mine kind of on the floor, and Mark was like, "You're going to hold my line." And then I kept looking at people walking by this stuff, and I'm like, this is hundreds, or if not 1,000, this is expensive stuff. I can't let people just walk by it, and knock it over and break it. So thankfully, Mandy and Shannon were set in the hall, and I was able to set some stuff next to them, and people kind of knew it was mine and was able to at least connect with me and sold a few things. But yeah, that room sale, we went from it we got done with the picture and the room was full. And when I talked to Tony, he was saying that he missed the picture so he could make sure he had a table. And I think a lot of people that were ready for room sales, because the minute I announced rooms, we're going to do a picture and then we're going to do room sales, like the back half of the room cleared out. And I think a lot of people rushed to get their stuff for room sales, and then get set up.
Tony wasn't in the photo.
Tony Johnson.
Was it Johnson? He wasn't in the picture?
Was he in the? I don't know. I thought he said he missed it.
He got in that picture.
But maybe he got in it.
In the picture, or I couldn't find, is Gus.
Gus is there.
Is he?
Yeah, he's behind someone, but he's there.
I was wondering. There's two people, and I saw a little face. And I was like, that might.
He's one of them.
Okay. Yeah, that's the other thing, guys. If you look at that picture, everybody is just cheesing it up. You can see the happiness. I mean, yeah, Road Fun, perfect name, because you could see that on everybody's face in that picture.
And when we talk about, I had a Star Wars event that my Star Wars club, me and the guys from the Star Wars club, we had an event, and that's the picture I show people. I'm like, you want to see how big it was? Look at this picture. And they're like, oh crap. I said, yeah, we had that many people come to our event that was set up that we've been planning 9 months, 8 months for. And then they realize, when they see that picture, they realize the scope of it. And that, like you said, it captures everything perfect.
Yeah.
That group picture.
That's what my wife said when she saw it. She's like, oh my God, there were that many people. I'm like,
yeah. Yeah, I don't mess around.
People.
No, Jason threw the gauntlet down. He was like, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it.
Go big or go home.
Yeah. That's what I told.
I know you live that, man, because you're a type A like I am. If you're going to do something, you're going to do it at 110%. Really?
No, I'm not. But I wasn't going to be a type B or whatever for this event. I had to be a type A.
Yeah. I told my wife, when the Wasokos throw a party, you don't say no, because they bring it.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's true.
So this was just a big extension of a Wasoko party, because I told Jason, I said, I need to clone you for whenever we decide to do this again, because he took a lot of it on, and I'm like, dude, we've got to figure out a way to relieve some of that pressure off of you. And he's just like, you're not cloning me. So.
No, I kind of exist in that though. So without that pressure, without that, like, I just have nothing to focus on. And that's part of the reason why I'm not ready to talk about part 2, is because I need to miss it, and it needs to be a passion thing, and I need to have the drive and the focus, the hyper focus. And it's going to take some time to be like, okay, I'm ready to do this. I need to walk away. I need to refresh. I need to miss it and want to do it again. And once I want to do it, it's going to be
it's going to be on like Donkey Kong. Sorry, Jason.
Yeah.
Because I know you that well that it, and now I've learned you more through this, I've learned more about you through this process. So it's like, if that's what you need, I'm not going to stop you, but I definitely I feel like it needs to, but anyway, after, go ahead.
That's what happens with a lot of those conventions and stuff, I think, is it goes from this passion thing to this just going through the motions. And that's where you lose that magic, I think. Yep. I was talking to Ben Sheehan, because I was hoping he would be able to make it. And, but I was talking to him afterwards, and, I'd said to Ben, I was like, yeah, I don't think Jason's ready to do this as like an annual thing. And it's like, maybe do it every 3 years, like they did the original trilogy movies. Pace it out every 3 years. You make people want it, and I think he even said, he's like, that's what Disney's done. He's like, they've lost that passion because it's just about churning out money for them.
Right.
Shareholders.
Yeah, exactly. It's not, that magic's not there. And if it takes doing it, spacing out every 3 or 4, even 5 years to keep that passion alive. But I can tell you this much: if you announce another one, they will come. We talked about this. You better make it big, man, because you thought it sold out fast this time.
Yeah, we'll see.
So hold on. I let me finish Saturday, unless you got something to say, or if you want to stay on Saturday. But I've got stuff to say about Saturday. I'm sorry.
Say your stuff about Saturday.
So anyway, we break down Saturday, and as soon as the room is like clear, I like walk in the room, and you see the little tear welt up, because it's like, 5 minutes before or half an hour before, it was a room full of happy Star Wars people, and it was just beautiful. And then it's back to being a reception hall, just a plain reception hall. So I mean, that was sort of
It's a moment in time.
yeah. And then like afterwards, because after we had loaded everything out, everybody's kind of hugging, me, Jason, and the Ryan. We're like, yeah, we did it. It'd been hugging and we're thanking everybody. And Josie, his daughter, looks at me and goes, "Did you just hug my dad twice?"
Yeah, you attacked me.
She was like, "Wait a minute. Whoa, whoa, whoa. He must be delirious because he let you hug him twice."
She knows me.
That's awesome.
I was
But
exhausted.
yeah, no, it was just, and then after
3 times
Saturday,
you would have gotten sucker punch.
Jason would have been like, "I don't care how exhausted I am. You're not getting a
Back
third
off,
hug."
brah.
No, and then after, because then we went afterwards, everybody, because I messaged you about getting a couple of beers, and I got the beers. We get back down to the lobby. I drink one, and I think I go, well, first of all, shots were going all around the lobby. And about that time, I pop a beer, and then the Ryan looks over at us and does his, "Who wants Waffle House?"
Was he joking?
No, that's Narayan's deal, man.
Yeah.
He wants Waffle House after everything.
Did he go?
You came with us.
Wait, was that night?
That
You
was
were
Saturday
burnt,
night, man.
man.
Oh, so I didn't go to bed till 2, and then I woke up at 6 for. Oh, I did go with the Indiana guys.
They
I
took a
love those
picture.
guys.
There's proof. You
You
were
came
there.
with us to Waffle House.
It's such a
Jason.
blur. I forgot, but
Apparently
I
you were in the
really,
Twilight Zone.
I really love those Indiana guys, Todd and Matt. Those guys.
No,
are
that
great.
was that. Yeah, we went with them, and then we're having dinner, and we look out in the parking lot, and there's kids with lightsabers.
Yep.
Oh,
And then a bunch of people from the event showed up like at 2 a.m. as we were leaving. And that's when we took that group picture, is when they arrived and sat down and we were leaving. We had paid and we were taking off.
Right. They had come in and they were like drunk, stumbling in the Waffle House, and we're like, "Oh my God." But they
I completely forgot I was there at Waffle House.
that's hysterical.
forgot.
Wow.
Oh.
You actually got a good picture of Tony Johnson. I couldn't believe it. He was,
Yeah. Yeah, he was part
Tony's
of that.
always like that guy. He's always the
Right.
head gets cut out of the picture. But yeah, you got a great picture of Tony Johnson here at Waffle House.
And then we did raise money for charity.
Yeah.
We did some good. We
Saw
donated
that.
what, $750 to Choa, $800
Yep. Yeah,
Children-
750 to Choa and 2,500 to Rancho.
to Rancho Obi-Wan. So the best part is that we really didn't have to dip into our pockets to pay for this event. There was an equilibrium and we achieved it. Thankfully, I could sleep at night, not worry about, do I need to spend a couple $100 on this? Do I need to dip my wallet into this? Like, we were good. We were good.
Right.
That's great.
Because it came down to the wire. It was close, but
It was real close.
but we balanced out.
Yeah, we're
But hey, you
good.
got all this equipment now, and the club's better for it. Not saying another Rogue Fun necessarily, but if we ever do anything in the future for the club, I mean, we can set stuff up, say Second Chance or something. We
Yeah.
do an event. We've got what we need to pull off that stuff. So
Yeah, and that was the thought of doing that, because Mark was like, "You guys are going to need it again, so you
it's
might
an
as well just
investment.
buy it."
Absolutely.
And then Monday, I was able to go with Narayan to meet Rich and Steve for breakfast before Steve left.
Mm.
And that was a
That's
good
cool.
time. It was quiet. It was kind of just what I exactly needed to kind of
Yeah.
hang out and have the moment that I didn't have all weekend. And it was nice. It was really nice.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, Glenn had to work.
yeah, I had to work. I didn't plan it right.
I took Monday off to recover.
Yeah.
What was Steve's reaction? Did he talk much about the weekend? Did he reflect that much when you were talking to him on Monday?
Yeah, he thought it was a great time. I mean, we just shot the breeze. Like, I did thank him at the end because he thought it was an amazing event and he was appreciative that we opened up our homes to him and all that. And I told him, like, he's the role model. He's the one that started the collection and then opened it up to everyone and then started to knowledge share I mean, when you talk about the panels, like the reason we do these panels is because he set the example that when you have knowledge, you share that knowledge. You don't gatekeep it for yourself. And
Yeah.
when you have a collection, you don't keep it up in your attic for no one to see. You open your doors and you let people see it and let the imagination run wild. Let Star Wars do its thing and capture the imagination. And I was very thankful to have the opportunity to thank him.
That's cool.
So
Yeah, I spoke to Gus on Friday, and I think that was sort of one of the things with him, probably Ron and Chris to some degree as well, is that they didn't have to present it.
yes, that
They
was another
just
thing.
they just sat back and enjoyed the whole thing, and you could tell that they did enjoy it.
Yeah, that was another thing I didn't let get to my mind because the collecting track was an inspiration for something like this, and Ron did the annual. So I was happy that they didn't have to do anything, that they could just sit back and relax and kind of see what it's like to be a spectator. But at the same time, I mean, I don't want to mess it up, and I don't want them to sit there and be like, if anything, I didn't want them to sit there and be like, "Oh, they're not doing this right." I would prefer them to go, you know what, Jerry should do this at the next celebration in Orlando. We should invite him down. You know, that's the kind of reaction I was hoping they would get or something.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
it got him invited to Canada.
Yeah.
So
Right
that's
on.
part.
See?
Yeah.
Same thing with Toby. I mean, Toby puts on May the North, and for him to kind of relax and enjoy the event from that perspective, hopefully
Yeah.
that they can go back and maybe they learn something
Yeah,
being
exactly.
that from that perspective, and they can apply it and improve on their event. I'm not saying that their events need to be, improved or anything. I'm just best case scenario, they learn something.
Yeah. See things from a different perspective. I think that's a
Yeah.
plus. I mean, it's going to make everybody. That's the thing. It really was a gift to the collecting community. I think it was your love letter
Yeah.
to the collecting community, and you could tell that people genuinely, appreciated it. It sort of made me laugh. I told you guys that, I don't know if I sort of told how it happened, but while I was doing the panel and was going through the catalog pages for the Wish book, there's an item that's in the 1978 Wish book, and it's called a space bullhorn / walkie-talkie. It was one of those items that, Sears just sort of label slap. They made it in blue and white plastic. It almost looks like the blue and white plastic from the bionic transporter for $6 Million Man. And it was this toy that they sold, and there's a whole box in the Wish book that shows this toy. That toy was used as a prop in Lumpy's bedroom on Star Wars Holiday Special. And he sent me pictures in Messenger while I was presenting. And I so wish I had seen that. Obviously, my phone was buzzing in my pocket and I wasn't paying attention to it, not thinking that, oh, this is somebody in the audience who was sending me this. But yeah, Chris was like, oh my God, they use this for a prop in the movie. And he sent me like a screenshot of the scene of Lumpy's bedroom, and you see it. It's laying right there on the floor.
Nice.
So yeah, it was just even more added to it. I had no idea that item had been used in the holiday special. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Well, that was better your phone being vibrating than making a ringing noise when you're trying to turn it down in the middle of your panel.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, let me turn my ringer off. And goes, and Mark looks at me and goes, amateur. And I'm like, dude, I'm trying to turn my phone off because I didn't want to put it on silent because Mandy's texting me and I don't want to miss anything. And I'm like, well, let me just turn because I've never had to do it on I'm kind of new to Apple. I've had it for a couple of years, but it's the first time I had to do something like that. And I totally didn't realize it was going to ring as I'm turning the ringer down. And I was like, damn. I mean, I guess so I don't even know if you heard it or not, but Mark,
I heard it over there.
Right. I was like, son of a bitch. and yeah. So I was just like, man. So anyway, I know we're getting ready to wrap it up, right?
Yeah.
So before we wrap it up, we got to do a dad joke.
Okay.
We got to do dad jokes. Jerry, do you want to do dad jokes with us?
That was an important part of Rogue Fun. Were the dad jokes? It's a way to focus people because I wasn't expecting everybody to sit there, so we pulled dad jokes to get everyone's attention as a way to be like, we're about to start the panel. Here's your dad joke. Focus.
I will say that the caliber of dad joke at Rogue Fun was exceptionally better than some of the ones that I've heard on the podcast. So I'm thinking somebody must have gone through and cherry picked some of the better ones from the dad jokes book.
Yes.
This
It
is
wasn't
not a
part of
very
the
good dad. It's gotten to the point where it's so bad that I just want to keep doing it because they're just so bad.
Well, for example,
Hold on, let me open it up to page. Okay, hold on. This is page number 70 from Star Wars Dad Jokes by Kelly Cox. Number 70. Why did the rebel take a bath after stealing the Death Star plans?
look at your face. You don't approve of the answer. Why did the rebel take a bath after stealing the Death Star plans?
For a clean getaway.
It's so.
It's so bad. All right, here's the next one.
I mean, that
Why
could
does-
apply to like a 1950s prohibition bank robbery,
It really does.
not
Why
Star
does-
Wars.
All right. What does Count Dooku call a droid factory that meets its quota?
Did I say 1950s? I meant 1930s. Go ahead. What was?
I really hope I don't mess this one up.
Oh,
Okay,
do
I
it
think
again.
I got it. A status factory.
Wait, say the question again.
Okay, what does Count Dooku call a droid factory that meets its quota?
A status factory?
Yeah.
Satisfactory.
Status. No, it says status.
Status
S-
factory. It's because
A
it's status.
because it's status.
I don't get that. Okay.
Should I do two more, or do you just want to?
I think we're good. Thank
I
you for
think-
listening to the Smugglers Galaxy podcast. If you could, please leave a like and a 5-star review of the show. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, if it's a lot, it really helps us out and points people to our show. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Leave us a message or, leave a comment or message. Our email address is smugglersgalaxy@gmail.com. Thank you to Alfonso Riviera for the Smugglers Galaxy logo. And thank you, Levi Waterhouse, for the music. People, collect for the love of it. Hashtag vote with your wallet. Sabine will be on next week. Pass on what you've learned. Be a positive force in the collecting community. I did that by memory.
Yes, this is the way.